because you have been given the materials which you must be going through.
ସାର୍
My
ଆପଣଙ୍କ
voice,
ବିଷୟ ଟିକେ କହୁନାହାନ୍ତି,
huh?
ଆପଣଙ୍କ ବିଷୟ ଟିକେ କହୁନାହାନ୍ତି।
ମୋ ବିଷୟ ଟିକେ କହିବି।
ହଁ
ଆଚ୍ଛା, ପିଲାମାନେ ତ ୱେବସାଇଟରୁ ଜାଣି ସାରିଥିବେ, ତଥାପି ଠିକ ଅଛି। ଆଚ୍ଛା, let me
ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି
introduce
ଆପଣଙ୍କ
myself.
ଷ୍ଟଡି ସାର୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଟିକେ କ୍ୟୁରିଓସିଟି ଅଛି ସାର୍।
ନା ନାଇଁ ଠିକ ଅଛି, ମୁଁ କହିଦଉଛି। And my dear students, you will be happy to know I am teaching you the paper Gemology, maybe teaching few more subjects also. Myself, Professor Gopal Krishna Pandey. I am a retired professor of geography of Utkal University. I was a student of geography of Utkal University also in 1975. I passed out in 1977, and I continued the lecturer in SCS College Puri for 5 years. And from 1985 onwards, I started joining with Utkal University and continued up to 2015. I have retired from the service in 2015, but after 2015, I got the emeritus fellowship of UGC, so I continued as an emeritus professor, and I also have got the senior fellowship award of the Indian Council of Social Science Research in the subsequent years. And besides this, at the moment now, I am working as an emeritus professor in Kalinga Institute of Social Science, deemed to be university, as emeritus professor. So in this way, I am being attached with the Department of Geography of Utkal University, where I was the professor and head also, lecturer, reader. All these phases have passed through the Utkal University. So geography has been a passion almost like that, right from my student career. I have been the first position holder of honors, first position holder of post graduation and gold medalist, and subsequently also I have been working with the geography. With I have also a special qualification on remote sensing GIS from Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, Dehradun. In the meantime, also I have visited to the European countries and North America, during 1995 and during 2013 as visiting fellows. And I've spent a quite lot of time with visiting professor in Indian universities across. After retirement, there has been I have been more busy with the subject of geography than what I was during my days of teaching in the job. And my areas of interest in geography teaching is geomorphology is definitely one of my interesting areas because I mostly deal with physical geography. So I am more known to the students of geography and the geography faculty across the country as a physical geographer. So that way you may find me and that I am very much conversant with this aspect of geography and geomorphology becomes a part of that. And besides geomorphology, I used to teach oceanography and then environmental geography, disaster management, remote sensing GIS. Uh, so these are some of the very favorite areas of my teaching. I spend a lot of time with these subjects. Besides that, also there are subjects like cartography and methods of quantity, methods of geography, and these are also some of the papers which I used to teach. So at the moment, I think we all will be getting into the subject geomorphology, and I don't know what is the background with which all of you have taken admission. I am sure that some of you may be coming from a arts background or humanities background like BA. Some of you may have also come from the BSc environment from science background, and some of you must have also come beyond this also. So because the course has been open for admission in the IGNOU, as any graduate can take admission, that is how we must have taken admission. So I think there are mixed variety of students coming into the subject. So when it comes to subject of geography, you will find there are two basic groups of papers. Some group of papers are mostly physical, and some group of papers are human and economic. And then besides that, there are some papers which are related to evolution of geography and geographic thought, and then the practicals of geography and the methods of geography, how to go with the application of the subject geography with Cartography is a method, remote sensing is a method, GIS is a method, GPS is a method, geospatial technology is a method, quantitative techniques is a method, cartograms is a method. So like this, there are various kinds of application which are being taught in your practical classes. So in practical sessions, you will be gradually coming to know all those things. And this subject, physical geography and human geography, these are the two major branches. Human and economic geography and physical geography are the two major branches. But subsequently, it has been subdivided into many branches of geography. So physical geography means it is geomorphology, it is oceanography, it is climatology, it is environmental geography, it is biogeography, it is soil and pedology. So these are the subjects of physical geography. So when it comes to human and economic geography, you have human geography, you have economic geography, then you have regional geography, and then rural geography, geography of rural development, geography of regional development, the urban and regional planning, urban geography. Like this, there are quite a variety of subjects under human and economic geography. And political geography is also a part of human and economic geography. Like this, there are two broad, if you make two broad classifications, the subjects will go like this. So at the moment we start with the geomorphology as a subject. So when it comes to geomorphology, what we are going to know? Geomorphology is study of landforms. Geomorphology is the study of landforms. And this subject we will have to cover up in four different classes. One today is the one, then 22, 23, 24 we are having the classes. So in these four classes, we will cover up this entire course of gemology. So what is going to be done? What will be the justice for you by giving this much of time is we will discuss some of the difficult areas. We will discuss the course contents of this paper and which are the difficult areas where you should give your inputs and how best you can put your inputs to this subject, how much of time you have to give, how much of understanding you need to have, then what are the cross references or books that you have to follow. It is already there in your course materials, but still then, but I have gone through your course materials. Things have been formulated very easily, so materials are relatively much easier than the normal textbooks available across. So your books are your study materials are much easier in handling the subject rather than from the general textbooks and reference books. So I will definitely recommend you to first go through your materials, study materials, whatever study materials are available. First you go through this, and whenever you find that you need little more of knowledge, little more of uh, uh, area where you are not very much getting confused or very much more ideas are required and you want to go for more details of the subjects which are not there in your study materials, I will definitely help you to give you references where you can look for those in some of the libraries wherever you are having the access. So that will enrich your that is going to enrich your knowledge in the subject besides whatever it is there with your study materials. Okay, in the meantime, let me know my voice is clear or is it clearly audible? Can any one of you respond?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in between that times they give a response so that I feel that yes, some people are there listening to me. Otherwise, if you leave, everybody becomes silent, no, it will look like that I am talking to a wall where there is no response from the other side. So please see that in between, speak something or try to talk something or just to initiate a question and discussion. So you can do that. So try to
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
follow
sir.
the process so that it becomes interactive and this class becomes lively and you feel little more comfortable in asking your queries and resolving your doubts. That is more
Okay, sir.
important because you are getting a very limited time. So resolving your doubts will be more important than uh, directly going to the course contents because course contents are very much there in your study materials. But there may be some of the gray areas to which you may find difficulty either in understanding or there may be some gray areas where you don't find materials to your requirement as you think of, or you may be looking for something which is little doubtful to you and you need more clarity of things. So in such areas, you try to interfere and start talking, raise your hands and then or put a in the box also you can put the questions. So in some way or other, if you respond from your side, I think the class will be lively. So you are now about 20 to 30 students have joined. I don't know how many have taken admission. Um, and this geomorphology is, let me start with the subject. Geomorphology is the study of landforms. If we go with a very simple definition, study of landforms means form whatever the physical forms of exposition of the Earth's surface that we are studying is called as the study of geomorphology. So, but if you try to extend the definition, study of landforms, origin of landforms, description of landforms, classification of landforms, and application of this knowledge of understanding landforms on the human welfare. So if you go to a larger definition of geography, if you become a smaller definition, it's the study of landforms. If you go to a larger definition covering the entire spectrum of geomorphology, then it is study of landforms, its origin, its description, its classification, and its application in human activities or human welfare. So you can take up in this way. So this is what is geomorphology. So when it is the study of landforms, whatever we see over the Earth's surface, all these are exposing itself either in the form of forest, sorry, either in the form of mountains, or in the form of plains, or either in the form of valleys, or in the form of gullies, or rills, or alluvial fans, or deltas, or estuaries, or coasts, or beaches, whatever you see over the earth surface, they become a part of the study of geomorphology. So geomorphology is to understand that how these landforms, whether it is as big as a big mountain like Himalayas, or it is as small as a pebble in the beach, or a pebble in the riverbed, or the sand particles and silt particles in the floodplain. So right from the Himalayan mountain, like tall mountains, to the smallest particles, everything becomes a domain area of geomorphology that we need to know how they are originating, how their descriptions or morphological expositions can be described, morphologically how we can describe, and then how we can classify this for some kind of applications, and then how we use this knowledge in some human areas of interest. So this is what is our geomorphology. So when we look into this geomorphology, basically we are classifying the entire spectrum of landforms which are available on the surface of the earth. And sometimes you may also ask me, sir, can the ocean floor be a part of the earth's surface to study about? Yes, it can be a part of the earth's surface, but it is studied under oceanography. Because all those which are covered under the water, permanent water, like oceans, they are a part of the oceanography. So we are trying to understand that to some extent we are trying to know that. So we cannot totally take out that from the subject domain. It is there very much, but there is another branch of knowledge which deals with that more in details. But morphology of the ocean floor can also be a part of our understanding if it is supposed to be read under this geomorphology. There is nothing harm in it. It is not a mistake if you take that also. But there is another branch which is dealing with this. So let us isolate ourselves from that branch. We confine to whatever are exposed on the surface of the earth, which are directly exposed and are known as a part of the lithosphere exposed to the atmosphere directly, not covered under permanent water or not covered under permanent ice. So this is what is we are going to study about these landforms, and they are classified in three orders basically: first order landforms, second order landforms, and third order landforms. So all the major mountains and valleys across the globe, wherever you find the major mountains, whether it is Himalayas, whether it is Alps, whether it is Rockies, whether it is Andes, whether it is Appalachian Mountains or Caucasus Mountains or the mountains of the Scandinavian countries or the mountains of China, or wherever you think of the large mountains and large valleys and plateaus and plains like Tibetan Plateau, Great Plains of America. So these are the very large, huge in area. So they are considered as the first order landforms of the Earth's surface. So over the Earth's surface, you see, and continents and ocean basins can also be considered as the first order. If you think a continent is a landform, also that is also true and correct. that itself is a part of the land exposed on the surface of the earth, and they are part of the first order landforms. So first order landforms includes continents, ocean basins, and similar other large landforms. They are coming under this. And then the second order landforms are, we come to that, then it is mountains, valleys, plateaus, plains, and all those rills, gullies, all those things which are coming, they are a part of the second order landform. So under the first order landform, second order landforms used to develop. And under the second order landforms, again, there are development of smaller features within. So within the mountains, there are a different type of features. Within the plains, we have different type of features. Within the valleys, we have different type of features. What are those? Suppose within the mountains, we have mountain slopes, and along the mountain slope, we have spurs, we have gullies, we have rills, we have what we can call it as the hanging valleys, or we can call it as mountain terraces. So whatever those type of features that you see within the mountain as smaller ones. So if you go to a glacial mountain, then you will find the moraines, lakes, and if you go to a desert mountain, then you will find vastas, then paddy plains. So like this, even the sand dunes. So like this, within the first order landform, whatever they are develops, they are the second order landforms, and within the second order, whatever the landforms are developing, they are considered as the third order landform. So this is the way, generalized way of looking into, because the origin of these three categories of landforms have a distinct difference from each other. They can be classified in that way. But if you go a little more into the detail, there are even still finer classifications where the classifications go beyond categories of 10 also. There are different 10 different types of classifications are there of the landforms, and still more is there also. So it depends on what level of scale you want to study the landforms. But for basically for our common understanding, let us confine ourselves to the first three orders: first order, second order, third order landforms. So if I give a third order landform, it can be the alluvial plains that is found, or the flood plains found by the river, or it is the beach along the shore, or it may be the sand dunes over the seashore or over the deserts, or it can be the submerged rocks exposed above the sea surface in the shore also, tremoloes of the similar kind of features, or in the glacial mountains, if you find the sorks or amphitheater like basins. So they are also called as the third order landforms. So you can now understand that there are first order landforms, there are second order landforms, there are third order landforms. When you look to the first order landforms, their origin, because each of the landforms, when we are studying in geomorphology, we are going to study what is their origin, what is their morphological exposition or morphological description, how they look like, and why that shape comes to that particular landform, and then how we classify those categories, and then how we make use of this knowledge in some kind of human uses. So then, if we are
Sir,
thinking, yes,
sir, can we consider the northern plain as the second order landform?
northern plains of,
Can we consider the northern plain as second order
yeah,
landform?
northern plains of India or USA? What do you mean to say?
India, sir, India.
India, yes, it can be considered as a second order landform.
Okay, sir, thank
Very
you.
much true. Okay, so if you consider the valleys, so the northern plains is a part of the Indo-Gangetic valley system. So that is a
Yes,
second order landform, yes.
yes,
And anything that comes within that, smaller features like the river meanders, or the river deposits on either side as levees, or it is the sand banks which are coming up, or the sand dunes on the river banks also, or maybe the alluvial plains, or maybe the flood plains along these rivers. So like these are, or you may think of the horseshoe lakes, or it is the kind of different type of smaller features. They will be coming as a third order, but the plains will be a part of the desert itself. Suppose if you think of the Rajasthan desert, it will be considered as a second order landform because it comes over the first order landform. So first order land, if you try to understand the origin now, you can understand better than this. when it comes to first order landforms, their origin is epiorogenic. Their origin is epiorogenic. Means there are two kinds of movements that takes place. There are three kinds of movements which are taking place on the Earth surface. Movements of the crust. So lithosphere experiences three kinds of movement. One is movement compressing each other, moving towards each other. At some place, the crust may move towards each other. So that is what is orogenic movement. But there are places where the crust may uplift or go down. So if it can go up or it can go down, then it is going to be a epi-orogenic. Orogenic means mountain building earth movements. Epi-orogenic means continental building earth movements. So all the faster landforms are created by epiorogenic movements where there has been huge upliftment of the surface of the earth or the lithosphere, creating huge blocks of landmass. Suppose if you think of the Siberian plains or the Canadian Shield or the North American continent or the South American continent or the Australian continent or the Antarctica itself. So they have been uplifted by some process, and that is how they have been created. So this is how these first order landforms are mostly epiorogenic in nature. They do not get created by collision. Collision never creates that. This collision or these orogenic movements is a horizontal movement of movement towards each other, or can be a slightly vertical movement of a low intensity over the surface, dislocation of the surface rocks. So these are some kind of orogenic movements. So orogenic movements leads to the formation of mountains, valleys, and associated features. So that is what is the second order. So within the second order and first order, numerous geomorphic processes which are operating with the different kind of geomorphic agents, they produce the third order landforms. Suppose within the first order means within the over the continent there are rivers, and rivers have created also river valleys, the second order landform. But within the valleys again the rivers are creating different type of features. Within the glaciers there are different type of features. Within the desert there are different type of features. Within the coastal zone also there are different type of features created by the waves and tides. So those will be the third order landforms, which are mostly associated with the processes which are operating on the surface of the earth to some extent, to a great extent, not some extent, to a great extent. There may be extraterrestrial processes like a meteorite is falling and creating a depression. So that can be a landform also. So that is extraterrestrial, but these are very rare examples. Very few examples are there. But most of the things are extraterrestrial, terrestrial processes. Means processes of movement of on the surface of the earth as water, as glacier, as air, as groundwater, as waves and tides. These are the different kind of movements which are going on over the globe, over the surface of the earth. And these movements are creating different type of processes. So it is processes of erosion, processes of deposition, processes of denudation, processes of aggradation, processes of degradation. So these are the processes which are attached with these agents. So these agents, when they produce the landforms, we call those as the third order landforms. I think now it must be very clear to some extent that what is a first order landform and its origin is epiorogenic. What are the second order landforms and their origin is orogenic, means horizontal movement and compression and dilation movement, and epiorogenic is vertical upliftment and vertical downwarping. That is epiorogenic movement. And then the third one is the terrestrial processes operating on the surface of the earth with movement of air, movement of water, movement of glacier, movement of volcanic lava, or movement of groundwater, or movement of coastal wave water, of the tidal water. So those are creating landforms which are called as third order landforms. So if we are trying to know the first order landforms, we have to go through a number of theories of first order landform formation. So we have theories of Um, there are various theories which may lead to explain. Plate tectonics is one of the theory which explains the first order landforms, second order landforms also. And there are Lothian Green's theory. There is another theory. There is continental sliding theory. Like this, there are quite a number of theories which explains how after the Earth is condensing into a from a gaseous stage to a solidification stage, how the continents and ocean basins have been created, or the large features on the surface of the Earth have been created. What is the basis of creation? That has happened more than 4 billion years back when the Earth was, after formation from the gaseous stage, has started cooling down and then condensation and formation of the crust. So after the crust formation, the Earth has taken a shape. But till that time, it has not taken a shape. So that is the time when these crusts have been built across. So the epeirogenic movements have been responsible for this displacement and then settling of the crust at different places depending on the density of the rocks which are condensing out of the gaseous stage. So this is where we are trying to know a number of theories which explains how the continents and ocean basins have been created. Then there will be a group of theories which are trying to explain the formation of the mountains, valleys, and similar other type of second order landforms. And these theories are mostly dealing with, you can call it as the mountain building theories. These are called as the mountain building theories, which are explaining the second order landforms. In mountain building theory, in your study materials, you will find continental drift theory of Alfred Wegener, Arthur Holmes' geosynclinal theory of Arthur Holmes, then sliding continent theory of Daly, and then plate tectonics theory of Willis and Morgan, Rizzo Wilson and John Morgan. And like this, there are quite a number of theories which are supposed to explain you. So your study materials will indicate that how these theories have been explaining the formation of the second order landform, means how the mountains are created, how the valleys are created, and how such type of second order features across the globe has been created by different processes. And of all these theories which are there across the globe to explain the first or second order landform, ultimately all the theories have come down to one consensus theory, that is plate tectonics, which explains the formation of all the landforms of different orders. So all the other theories have been explaining only the first order or only the second order or something like that. But when the plate tectonics theory came, it started explaining everything in one capsule, in one form. That is how the plate tectonics theory became one of the recent theories, and plate tectonics theory becomes one of the most important theory of explaining the formation or the origin of the first order landforms, second order landforms, and third order landforms. When you will be going through your study material, you will find it is very well explained how things are happening with the plate tectonics theory. So this is what is about the origin of the mountains, valleys. So like this. Or there are geosynclinal theories, convectional current theories. Like this, there are quite a number of theories. Or the um, bordering landmass theory, that is another theory of mountain building, that where mountains are being formed and where valleys are being formed. So like this, we have then second, after the second category of understanding, then the third category of understanding is we are trying to know the third order landforms by understanding or by studying the erosional processes and depositional processes associated with running water. That is, running water means running water over the surface of the earth occurs in the form of rivers, but before rivers also there is tree land flow, and there is the rivers initially form gullies, initially form rills, and then initially form streams, and then many streams join together to form rivers, and then rivers again join together to form a huge one, and then after a huge one they move over the mountains. So that is how river as a agent of weathering and erosion landforms. It develops over its valley wherever the river flows. Similarly, wherever the wind blows and desert landforms are created. Wherever the glaciers move, glacial landforms are created. Wherever glaciers are formed, they are formed over the mountains which are above the snow line. Means above the snow line there is permanent snow. So from the permanent snow region of the mountain, mounting of the pressure of the weight of the glacial ice actually along the slope allows the mass of ice to slide down along the gravity, and that is how the movement takes place. So movement of water or movement of wind or movement of glaciers. Similarly, movement of underground water. So when the underground water moves in the limestone rocks. So when it is the limestone rocks are there and the water passes through, then it decomposes the limestone rocks and then create the channels inside of the valleys. And while creating the valleys also, it creates different types of caves. And within the caves also, it creates the pillar-like features within the caves, which are called stalactites, stalagmites. And then it has also been creating uh, huge sinkholes where the water will be disappearing from the surface in a small hole, but when going inside, the valleys will be very large because a lot of erosion has taken place inside. So, like this, or if it is on the surface, then it is creating the ravines like Chambal. So, there is also a semi arid climatic condition, and then um, limestone rocks, and erosion has taken place on the surface and has created a lot of ravines, which are larger in the form of gullies and rills. When they become too large and very irregular, we call those as ravines. So like this, we have underground water movement, and then so agents of underground water, they start eroding and depositing materials and creating different type of landforms. Similarly, also along if you move along the coast, there are a lot of movement takes place with the ocean water in the form of waves and tides. So when waves move, they create a set of landforms like sand dunes, speeds, hooks, and then sandy beaches, and then if it is a rocky beach, then there are rocky pavements. And if it is a rocky mountain is there, or the mountain block is there, or the hard rocks are there, then they are eroded with the formation of caves, with the formation of stacks, tremoloes. So something of that sort. That is what is different type of erosional and depositional features along. And if a tide movement takes place, then the coast will be muddy. So you will find a muddy coast with the tide. River banks will be muddy. Rivers will form into estuaries. So those kind of landforms will come up. So you are going to learn all these things as the origin of the third order landform. So you have to understand the different processes associated with the agents of weathering and erosion. Weathering and deposition, weathering erosion process. So weathering is decay and degradation of rocks, disintegration of rocks, and erosion means both decay and disintegration, and simultaneously movement of the material along with the flow. Along with the wind or along with the water, materials are also flowing, and that is what is also called as degradation. Aggradation means when deposition takes place, the process is called as aggradation. And denudation, if you use the word, then it implies both aggradation and degradation, both when continuing, then we call it as denudation. In course of time, the landscape is going to change by the process of denudation. Somewhere erosion, somewhere deposition, and then the landscape is changing. So we are trying to understand the landforms in terms of the major agents of weathering and erosion. So major agents are river as an agent, or river landforms, or fluvial landforms we call it. Then for wind as a dominant agent of weathering, we call it as aeolian landforms. Then glacier as an agent of erosion, we call it as glacial landforms. Underground water as a major process, then we call it as karst landforms. These are called as the karst topography. River fluvial topography, karst topography, aeolian topography, coastal topography. So like this, we have different type of names explaining about the origin of the third order landforms associated with the agents and processes. So these are the three different sets of theories and processes of explaining how first order, second order, third order landforms are created, which are there in your study material in different units. Simultaneously, there are certain theories which relates to these type of landform evolution. when these are the agents and there are processes to explain that a river valley is creating a V-shaped valley or a river valley is creating a steep valley like a parallel ridge type of valley, or it is a flat valley, or it is a meandering valley. So these are all. So there are certain theories which try to explain that what is the model that explains all these landforms. And people have tried to find out theories to explain. It is just like when there is a mannequin in a showroom, when you go to see the mannequin and there is a dress put on the mannequin to explain you that yes, the dress may look like this. So that is a model. And the model gives you an expression that yes, you can feel that yes, this shape will be like this or look will be like this. Similarly, there are theories also been constructed by the geomorphologists in different time to explain these phenomena in a way so that one can understand what is going to be the characterization of the landforms, both for the first order, second order, or third order. So there are quite a number of theories which you also will be learning. Suppose, for example, one of the theories which explains plate tectonics, that explains that Earth's surface has been divided into a large number of plates, lithospheric plates. Surface is called as the lithosphere. Lithosphere, then below the lithosphere you have the variosphere. So lithosphere comprises of the outer crust up to a depth of about 40 to 60 kilometers inside. So this 40 to 60 kilometers is a thick layer of rock. But this thick layer of rock do not have the same density. The density is very low on the top. Gradually, if you go down, you will find the hard materials and you will find the denser materials. And they are floating over, they are over the mantle. Mantle is a viscous material. It is not solid. It is a viscous. Viscous means you can, in the pitch and alcantara, as it appears when you put it on the road, you see that it can flow when it is hot. When it is cool, it can remain as a semi-fluid type of situation. So the mantle is like that. Over this mantle, the crust is resting, and across the crust there have been number of cracks at different places. Why cracks? Because Earth is cooling down from a gaseous stage to a solidification stage by the release of heat. So it is just like ଗୋଟେ କମଳା ପାଚିଲେ ଯେମିତି ଶୁଖିକି ଆସ୍ତେ ଆସ୍ତେ ତା skin ଟା ଦବିଯାଏ ସେମିତି Earth's crust is also getting cracked because of the condensation process going on, and then within the mantle also heat is being transferred in a convective motion because there is a lot of heat is preserved inside. So the heat allows the material to remain in a floating condition or in a viscous condition, and this heat transfer takes place. So that induces a kind of movement. So cracks are developing at different places, and it divides the whole crust into different plates. And these plates are moving towards each other at some place. Some place they are moving away from each other. Sometimes the plates are moving towards each other. So like the different kind of movements are taking place, and mostly this happens along with the earthquakes. The earthquake is a time when you know that yes, here is a plate which is moving like this, and this is how the earthquake was created, or this earthquake site has come up at this particular point. So like this, there are theories to explain that how things are happening, how plates are moving, why plates are moving, and what sort of movement is creating what sort of landforms over the surface. Why a kind of movement leads to formation of mountain? Why a type of movement of plates may lead to the formation of rift valleys? Where a type of movement can create the faults. So like this, there are different ways of explaining the landforms. Similarly, there is another theory called Davissian theory of cycle of erosion. So when we discuss about the agents of weathering and erosion and landform formation is taking place, whether it is the river, whether it is glacier, whether it is wave, whether it is underground water or wind, the Davissian theory explains about something unique. Unique means he tried, he tried to use the concept of Darwin's theory of evolution over the physical landscape. That just like in Darwin's theory, what happens? Life begins with a birth, then slowly the child grows, become a child, then he becomes adult, then he becomes youth, then he becomes mature, then he becomes old, then he becomes vanishing from the earth by death. So if this is happening with human life, and a human being or any other animal is passing through these phases, can we consider can we consider the growth and development of the landforms in any of these areas, by glaciers or by water or by the wind, as there is a time of origin of a landform, then the landform is growing, then it comes to a youth stage, then it comes to a mature stage, then the landform comes to a old age stage, then the landform disappears. So if this can be also thought of for the landforms of the earth's surface, then the same theory of Darwin's theory, which was applied by Davis to the um, non-living environment. So that is what is the uniqueness of that person, that he thought and imagined at a particular point of time that yes, for you giving an example like this, that when you read your book and study materials, you will know when a river, suppose there is a part of the earth's crust and there was no river. After the rain, what happens? Water will accumulate and find out some place through which the water will try to move out along a steep slope, and the river is created. So there was a plain land. After the rain, the land has been dissected at different places depending on the hardness, softness of the rock, and then small valleys, rills, gullies were created, and then the river takes a path, and the water starts moving in the river and creates a valley. And that valley is a youth valley, where you will find that the river valley is narrow and depth is steep. And when the water flows with a very high speed because of the steep slope of the mountain. And by that, the river is creating a V-shaped. We call it as a V-shaped valley. The valley looks like a V. Bottom is at the bottom is V of bottom of the V is to the downwards, and opening is the upper one. And gradually, what happens in course of time, when the erosion will continue, this V-shaped valley will be further eroded when the for years and years and years, for millions of years, this erosion and water will be passing through. The valley will be laterally cut. The outer upper surface will also be eroded by the other streams and water that is coming up every year, and the landscape will also gradually decrease in height, and these valleys will also started widening. So the V-shaped valley will slowly start towards becoming a flat valley. That means this entire area, which was having a V-shaped valley and a originating river, now has converted into a low-lying area with a flat valley. And when there is a flat valley, the water is no more going like a V-shaped valley, so the speed will be controlled. Then the water will start moving here and there. And by moving here and there, meandering will take place. And after meandering, the change of river course will take place. Oxbow lakes will develop. Islands will develop inside because of the meandering. Because in the initial river, the island will not develop. But the potta way, that is not going to develop in a early stage. Mature stage then it starts forming. The sediments will be depositing at the middle point, forming the pottas, or we can call it the riverine islands. Then again the river will meet after the island. Again they will flow in a flat land, and when approaching to the sea, it will be approaching close to the sea level. So now you can see there are three stages. One stage is a youth stage of the area, then there is a mature stage of the area, there is a old age of the area. So what is the manifestation? Youth stage of the area is characterized by V-shaped valleys, that is the youthness, heavy energy, high energy available with the river system to erode. That is what a youth can do also in the human life, that he has a lot of energy to do some work. But next stage is the person also tends from youth to the mature stage. Similarly, the river also tends to attain a mature stage. When the valley has become flat, water valley area has been widened, lot of water is now coming and making a whirling motion. Lot of water is also passing through, and the land has subsided in height. And that is the mature stage when the river will form its floodplains. Means it is a constructive work is now going to be done. Initially, in the youth stage, the river was creating only destructive work by eroding. the valley. But now the valley will start depositing the materials which it has been bringing from the upstream at the mature stage. So this is what is the declining energy, just like a human being and attains the maximum energy at the youth, then declines energy at the maturity stage, but the energy is used in a constructive way, building up the family, building up the children, and then maintaining a kind of uh, balance in the system, seeing that things happen positively. And then when it comes towards the old age, the entire energy is gone now from the person. The person has become old, the energy is no more there to work. So that is the time when the river is also, the stage comes in the river when the river is valley is almost parallel to the and almost close to the sea level. So in that stage, what happens? The river water will move here and there, create huge valleys and braiding streams that we call it braiding streams, frequently changing its course and meeting the sea, frequently dividing the river, creating distributaries. Like this, it will form the deltas and estuaries. It will start forming. So that is a youth stage. That means there is a cascading energy system in the human life is also explained in the cascading energy system of the river life. The man lives for about 100 years or 70 years, and you see a phase, youth phase, maturity phase, and old age. If a landform remains for about many million years, then there is a phase of youth, there is a phase of maturity, and there is a phase of old age, when the entire area has now been converted to a plain land very close to the sea level. So this is called the cycle of erosion. So all the landforms in the glacial area, the fluvial area, or the Eolian area, also the landforms evolution can also happen like this. Was once conceived by one of the geomorphologists, William Morris Davies, to whom we now refer to as the uh, person who has been called as the founder of modern geomorphology. He is the founder of modern geomorphology. 1850 onwards, he has been one of the American geologists, but working in these areas of geomorphology. He has established these theories. So, like this, you will find many theories. Not only that, many theories. There will be theories of slope evolution. How a mountain maintains a slope or a landscape maintains a slope. We find some mountains which are like a conical hills with both sides. There are also hills where you find a 90-degree slope. There are hills where you find 45-degree slope. But there are mountains where you find it is a flat slope. So how such mountains are forming and how slope changes are taking place. There are theories to that also. There are theories to explain why a river creates a meander, where the river creates a meander, what happens with the meander's geometry, what sort of geometry is developing. So like this also there are theories. So there are various theories to explain different types of landforms. So there are theories to explain why a beach is developed sandy, why a beach is developed muddy, why the landforms are developing in the form of spits, hooks, sandbars, islands. So these are all various theories that you will be knowing. And to the background of this, you will be knowing also to some extent, because all these things have to be understood only when you understand what is the earth and its constitution. That is what we call it as the understanding the interior of the earth. Because unless you know the earth and its interior, it becomes difficult to interpret all these things. So at the beginning, you will also be knowing these basic foundations of geomorphology, which explains about the structure of the earth, structure of the earth or the interior of the earth, which comprises of three different sections. One is a crust, the other one is a mantle, the third one is a core. And then what are the characteristics of crust, characteristics of mantle, characteristics of core, like this, it will be continuing. To explain you about what these properties of crust, properties of mantle, properties of core, and how they are related to the different geomorphic processes. So like this, you will be entirely covering this geomorphology in this way. And then another concept also you will be knowing what is isostasy. Isostasy is a concept of after the landforms have been formed, how they are in a equilibrium condition over the earth's mantle. Because the outer layer is a crust. Over the crust, somewhere you find the mountains, somewhere you find the seas, somewhere you find the plains and plateaus, somewhere you find the other different type of features. So these different type of features all are resting over a mantle. So what is the hydrostatic balance in which this crust is staying with the mantle? So that is what is a theory of isostacy. So it is a background to the understanding of the Earth's interior and this surface hydrostatic balance of how things are happening, and then trying to understand this plate tectonics theory, mountain building theory, continent building theories, then different agents of weathering erosion and their landforms. So like this, you will be going through the subject. And towards the end of your subject, you will find some of the applied geomorphology, uh, some portion of applied geomorphology where you will try to know how this geomorphology is being used in environmental management, how this geomorphology is used in mineral exploration by geologists, how this geomorphology is used by soil scientists to understand the soil formation process, and then how this geomorphology is used for watershed management, how this geomorphology is used for mineral exploration, oil exploration, and many other things. There are quite a lot of areas of application, and ladies will cover the understanding of this. And subsequently, you have many other applications when you go to specific landforms also. So we are trying to know all these things in our geomorphology course. So this is to some extent a broad coverage of what this geomorphology subject is. Now, can I ask you something about that? Have you gone through the courses of studies and the materials that have been given to you, or you are being accessing to the materials? Any of you can respond anything?
So,
Yes.
sir.
Pragati, yes, we
Yes,
were.
sir.
Ah, yes. Tell something if you want.
Sir, we are getting only online PDFs. We are going through that only, sir.
Online?
Hard copy, online PDF. We are going through that, sir.
Okay. Ah, yes. Online PDF is there to some extent that
Yes, yes. Because we
immediately
have
needs to
not
be.
got till now the hard copy, so we are going through the online PDF, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I think you have to quickly go through during these 4 days of class
Yes,
because
sir.
you are getting a break of 2 days. Now
Yes,
within
sir.
this break, I just give a quick wrap of the course content because within these 4 classes, uh, which topics we will deal more in details. And if you want to know, then I will use some of the PowerPoints to explain some of the things much more in detail if you are interested in knowing something. Or else, if you have any queries on the course, unless you go through the course and the study material from beginning to the end through different units, yes, you cannot have a understanding because once this time is over, you are no more coming back to this course. So you cannot clarify your doubts anymore further.
Yes, sir.
This is the only time when you are exposed to this paper. So you have to be quick on this. Just quickly go through which are the difficult areas for you. Accordingly, let me know in the next class. In the next class, I will try to deal with individual units. I will deal with individual, as many units are there. Suppose there are 15 units, 10 units. I will first take first class 3, 4 units, second class 3, 4 units. I will go like this. So you can also accordingly prepare yourself to ask questions or to get your queries rectified and discuss. Okay, the subject
Okay,
is
sir.
to a great extent the subject is covering some parts of the basic knowledge of chemistry, basic knowledge of geology, basic knowledge of geophysics. So these are some of the areas, some of the basic knowledges of marine science. Because origin of the landforms has to also understand what is the geological time scale of the Earth, which geological era these things have been formed. Because when we say that course is confined to this much, but there are additional knowledge which makes you enriched. Unless you know that also, it becomes very difficult. Suppose if I look at the origin of the Himalayas, the next question immediately comes up. Sir, we have Himalayas, we have Vindhyas and Satpuras. Who is older? Why this is older and why this is younger? How do you know that sir, the Himalaya is younger and that one is older? how old it is. So there are so many questions attached to that. So when you try to answer these questions, then you have to go beyond your scope of the subject, little more towards geology, towards marine science, or towards geophysics, or towards geology and life sciences of evolution of life forms and then formation of land forms. So like this, you have to add little bit of knowledge. Then only the significance of the subject will be with you. Otherwise, you will be living in a very limited world. And so, if you want to expand the knowledge base, probably that is the best way of looking to the subject. So, those things will be also coming, but it is not going to make you difficult. Although this is a difficult subject for geography students coming from the humanities background, they feel little difficulty in this because the very words which are coming with the subject are mostly geology oriented or geophysics oriented or any other science oriented. That makes them little uncomfortable at the beginning. But don't get scared. You are in the right hands. We will make the subject so easy that you will feel happy to go through the subject very easily without much of difficulty, and understanding will be very absolutely clear. I am sure. I don't think you will have ambiguities. Uh, so that way we will try to clear your doubts. Okay. So till now, have you any of you have read any unit? Any of you can? Any of you have got through any of the units? And can you raise some of your queries or difficult areas that you have come across? Or even if you have not gone through the materials, still then what you feel about what we discussed now here in the class? Is it clearly audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, absolute clarity is there.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Am I
sir.
going very fast? Should I go slow?
No, sir.
It's all right.
Yes, sir. It is absolutely all right.
It's absolutely all right. Okay. Then next part is from your side.
Sir, is there any difference between, as you told about the stages of the river, there is a difference between the mature stage and the old stage. There are four stages of a river, sir. As you said, that
Yes,
is the.
yes. There is a confusion with the students sometimes when they look at the river. The river
Yes, sir.
passes through a mountain stage when it
Mhm.
originates.
Yes,
And
sir.
then after the mountain stage, then it comes to the plain. Then
Plain,
when
sir.
it then after the plain stage passing over, then it comes to the meeting to the sea. So that is another phase. So this is
Okay, sir.
why three phases are distinctly visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is not to be confused with the youth maturity and old age.
Yes.
Youth means suppose over an area, the entire landscape is exhibiting a youth characteristics along with its river.
Okay, sir.
Are you getting my point?
Yes, yes, sir. I'm
Suppose
getting.
there is a area of about 100 square kilometers. Is a area above the sea
Yes,
level, and that area is flat land now. After the rain, what will happen? Water will percolate, create rills, create valleys, and then there will be dissections, and then there will be number of rivers and gullies and ravines, and then
yes,
slowly all the water will be joining together to create one or two channels through which the water will flow.
yes, sir.
While flowing, this entire area will have an exhibition of V-shaped valleys because gradually there will be vertical downwarding of the river. Why? Because the gravity is still more because the river water is coming from a very high altitude and moving towards a low altitude because ultimately it has to go to the sea. So ultimately when
Yes,
it
sir.
you go to the sea, then it has to pass through a steep slope.
Yes, sir.
So keeping that as a base level, the river will cut its valley. So there will be a large number of V-shaped valleys across that area. So that entire area is a use stage area. And
Yes,
that
yes,
entire area, in course of time of millions of years, those V-shaped valleys will start widening. Then two V-shaped valleys widening towards each other, the middle these will be submerging and dissolving in between, eroding. And then the river join, two valleys join together become a large valley. So like
yes.
this, the entire area will be converted into a stage of maturity when it is not only erosion and deposition. Erosion takes place simultaneously also. Some river deposits are also taking
Yes.
place. So this is the second stage. And third stage will be when this entire area is approaching close to the sea level. Means from 100-meter height. Now its entire area has now come down to about 10-meter height or 5-meter height. And there may be few individual peaks which are hard rocks. So maybe. But the entire area is now coming to the 5-meter level. So this is what is the old days.
Okay.
Old days does not relate to, or the youth does not relate to the mountain space, and maturity does not relate to the middle phase, or the old age does not relate to the end phase of the river meeting to the sea.
That was my confusion, sir.
So very often students used to confuse.
Yes,
But
sir.
you will find those characteristics little, the youth characteristics will be available over the mountainous area. Over the plain area, you will find the
Mature stage.
nature stage characteristics of the river, like meandering rivers, oxbow lake. Suppose if you look at Mahanadi, till
Yes.
Hirakud, Mahanadi is flowing in the mountainous terrain, inside the Chhattisgarh state. So there are
Hmm.
many areas where, within the mountain, the rivers are coming. So we said valleys are there, waterfalls are there, so many peculiar features are there. But after coming from Hirakud onwards, the river is flowing in a plain land, and in that plain land, what is happening? It is coming through Sonpur, Baud, and then Manmunda, and then slowly it is coming through Tikarpada, then coming to Naras. So this
Yes.
is the area where the floodplains are developed on the either side. This is the area where the river valley has been widened. It is not narrow, not very side. It is a wide flat valley.
Wide.
Yes. And formation of sandbanks has also come up to send the river back. And then levees have also come up. By means some amount of deposition are taking place when during a flood. So this is little bit characteristic of a mature stage. And when you come to the delta, that means after Naraz, Mahanadi starts dividing into different branches, distributed.
Yes. Distributed is.
Then distributors again join. Like Mahanadi gets Mahanadi and Katsuri. And between these two rivers, then we have Katsuri and Kwakai. Then between Katsuri and Kwakai, these two rivers again join together after some distance from Qatar. So Boyles Mauza is a villages have been created as islands in between. And after that, again the river bifurcates into two, again joins, and in between that there is another set of islands that is Baisno. Then after that, again the Mahanadi, this Katsuri Kwakai river, sorry, Katsuri and its distributors, they divide and again join to form this Matsaga and those areas. And then ultimately the river drains into Bay of Bengal near Astana, north of Astana, at Magarmana, that is a place there. So in between rivers there are islands. So when these islands come up, when the rivers are not capable of carrying the amount of sediments the river is bringing within it, ଏମିତି ପାଣିରେ ଏତେ ନାହିଁ ଯେତିକି amount of sediment ଆସିବ ତାକୁ ବୋହିବା ପାଇଁ, ତେଣୁ those
Okay.
sediments are deposited either on the valley sides or in the middle of the valley and then creates islands. So this is manifestation of the youth stage characteristic. But this is not the youth stage, old age. This is the old age characteristic. But
Characteristics. Yes.
entire basin is to be considered as under the youth or maturity or old age. Similarly, for your desert also the same situation. Entire area or the topography of the coastal areas also will be caught up in that way. So this is the imagination, like a mannequin. Yes.
Yes.
How the landform evolution is supposed to take place. Just like the mannequin depicts you how the shape looks like with the
So,
model
like
like.
rivers, other landforms also they are having stages, sir. Can
Yes,
we say
some
that?
animals are, yes, there is a way of thinking to suppose it is a glacier. So when there is a mountain, from the mountain top, the glaciers will start flowing, moving. So initially they form the horns. And then there are animal ମାନଙ୍କର horn ଅଛି ସେମିତି ice horns will be available. So if you look at the Mount Everest or Kanchenjunga, you will find peaks.
Agree.
Yes, they are called horns. And below the horns, you will find amphitheater-like basins, which are called socks. These are the youth stage of the glacial characteristic. Gradually erode slowly, and then the peaks will not remain. Then the river will start, the glaciers will start forming wide valleys, U-shaped valleys. जो जाके कि तबे देखिबो वर्तमान काश्मीर गुलमार्ग सोनामार्ग तापर ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଏରିଆ ଯାକ ଆସିବ ଦେଖିବ ହ୍ୟୁଜ୍ ଫ୍ଲାଟ୍ ପ୍ଲେନ୍ସ ଯାକ ତମେ ପିକ୍ଚରରେ ବି ଦେଖୁଥିବ ବେଳେ ବେଳେ ନଈର ଯାକ ୟୁ ସେପ୍ ଦେଖାଯାଉଥିବ ଫ୍ଲାଟ୍ ଦେଖାଯାଉଥିବ ଗୋଟେ ମାଉଣ୍ଟ ଭଳିଆ ଉଠିକି ଯାଉଥିବ that
Again.
is କାହିଁକି ନା ସେ ଯାକ ଗ୍ଲାସିୟର ଯୋଗୁ ଏମିତି ହେଇଛି shape has been like that not like a river valley so that is how the maturity stage of the glacial landforms will come up. तो ସେ ଜାଗା ଜାଗାରେ କଣ ହବ drumlins ହବ moraines ହବ ଏଇ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ଅଛି skers ହବ different type of जो material ଯାକ glacier ଦେହରେ ସବୁ ବୋହିକି ଆସିଥିବ glacier melt କରି ପଳେଇବ ଏଇ material ଯାକ ସବୁ ସେ ଜାଗାରେ dump ହେଇଯିବ ରହିଯିବ ମନକୁ like a mount. They will be creating different type of features. So ଏଇଟା ହେଲା ଗୋଟେ mature stage of characteristic. ଯେତେବେଳେ old age ଆସିବ ସେ ସମୟରେ କଣ ହବ the glacial melt water will start flowing. Our Ukrainian plains, Siberian plains, that is what is the characteristic of the meltwater system. Then the meltwater system has the characteristics, yeah, that is the old age characteristic of a glacial landscape. Then erosion measuring, there is a conceptual model of landform evolution. Into there has been serious opposition to that theory. There has been serious opposition to this theory that this is a way of looking into which is not realistic. There are other people have put different theory.
Yes, sir.
Different theory କେମିତି ମାନେ ଆମର ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ବୋଲି ସାଇଣ୍ଟିଷ୍ଟ ଇଏ ତ ଡେଭିସ୍ ୱିଲିୟମ ମରିସ୍ ଡେଭିସ୍ has given this theory. He is American geologist. ଆଉ ଜଣେ European German geographer Walther Penck. He has given a theory contradiction to this. ये कहले जे youth stage, when there is a youth stage, there will be V-shaped valleys. But Frank tried to explain that a V-shaped valley can form without a youth stage. There is no question of stage. It is a question of availability of energy and the landscape. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Hello? हाँ कौन थी कौन सी जल्दी ठीक मुझे ऑनलाइन रे बसी जोटे प्रोग्राम रे टिके अधघंटे पर करबी ना कौन भाई नहीं मोटे ऑनलाइन प्रोग्राम रे अच्छी एबे टिके रखि दियंतु आ अधघंटे पर कथा सारी Okay, then say Pang tried to explain the V-shaped valley is formed not because of steep down cutting by the river in the youth stage. It can also form a V-shaped valley when the erosion takes place and the land is rising. ଆମର ସବୁବେଳେ land କୌଣସି ଜାଗାରେ constant ହେଇକି ରହେନି over the earth's surface. There are constant upheavals and downwarpings. Land ବେଳେବେଳେ ଉପରକୁ ଉଠେ ବେଳେବେଳେ ତଳକୁ ଯାଏ ଏଇ ପ୍ରୋସେସଟା continuously ଚାଲିଥାଏ slow or fast you do not know but things happen. Just like our କଣ ହେଇଛି Satkosia Gorge ର situation is like that. Satkosia Gorge ନଈ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆସିଲା ମହାନଦୀ when Mahanadi came it has entered into this Satkosia mountain system and has created a gorge. The gorge ଟା ହେଲା ଗୋଟେ V-shaped valley ଭଳିଆ. Then it has come out when again the river valley is flat. ସେଇ ଜାଗାରେ କେମିତି ଗୋଟେ V-shaped valley ହେଲା why this happened. The reason is the Mahanadi river was existing when there was Eastern Ghat was not there. ତେଣୁ ମହାନଦୀ ତା ରାସ୍ତାରେ ଚାଲୁଥିଲା ନର୍ମାଲି ଯେତେବେଳେ ଇଷ୍ଟର୍ଣ୍ଣ ଘାଟ ସେ ରାସ୍ତାରେ ଉଠିବାକୁ ଆରମ୍ଭ କଲା ଅପଲିଫ୍ଟ ହେଲା ଜିଓଲଜିକାଲ ପାଷ୍ଟ about 250 million years back. The Eastern Ghat started uplifting. uplifting ଯେତେବେଳେ ହେଲା, the rate at which the upliftment took place, the river could able to cut the valley also at that rate and could maintain the course. ତେଣୁ ଯଦି ଆଉ ଟିକେ ରାପିଡ ଅପଲିଫ୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଇଥାନ୍ତା ରିଭରର କୋର୍ସ ଚେଞ୍ଜ ହେଇଯାଇଥାନ୍ତା, କିନ୍ତୁ ଯେତିକି ରେଟ୍ରେ ଅପଲିଫ୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଲା ରିଭର କୁଡ୍ ଏବଲ୍ ଟୁ କଟ୍ ଇଟ୍ସ କୋର୍ସ, ତେଣୁ ପାହାଡ ମଝିଟା ଖାଇ ଖାଇ ଗଲା and the river maintained its position. Mountain also maintained its position, but in between the gorge was formed. What is that gorge? Gorge is a steep valley between two mountains through which the river is passing on. Semiti, there is a scope that V-shaped valley is not necessarily created by the youth stage. It can also be created when the landscape is rising. So theories of Davis that explains that each stage can create V-shaped valleys, he tried to contradict that the V-shaped valley can go with a continuous upliftment. If there continuous upliftment, then there can be V-shaped valley formation. So without any stage, youth or maturity stage has nothing to do with this. So like this, there have been many contradictions which you will be learning from the different theories which are opposition to the Davis theory. Then there are some areas where we unit wise discussion kariba. We will go through that. I will tell you some of the interesting points of how lively the things of discussions have progressed and try to explain the things of origin and formation and then their morphological expressions. Okay. Okay. Any other thing that you like to have a discussion?
Sir, which reference book should you follow for geomorphology?
Reference price now. Past when your materials are sufficiently richer than the normal textbooks. You must try to understand that your materials are sufficiently rich in the sense it has a explanatory way of explaining. Textbooks do not explain question and answers. ତମର ଷ୍ଟଡି ମେଟେରିଆଲ ଜାଗାରେ ସବୁ ବେସିକ ଷ୍ଟଡି ମେଟେରିଆଲ ଦିଆ ହଉଛି ସେ ଜାଗାରେ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ ଆନ୍ସର ଫର୍ମରେ ରହିଲା ବେଳେ ଡିସ୍କସନ ହେଇକି ଲିଟରେଚର ଲେଖା ହଉଛି. So you have a lot of clarity in reading through your study material. So first you should consume your study material first. ଅନ୍ୟ କୋଉ ବହିକୁ ଯିବା ପୂର୍ବରୁ. ତାପରେ that the areas where you find interest for further reading, the areas where you find difficulty in understanding, or the areas where you want to know, add more knowledge to your understanding. ଏ ତିନିଟା ଜାଗାରେ ଯୋଉଠି ବେଶୀ ଜାଣିବାକୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା ଅଛି, ଯୋଉଠି କନଫ୍ୟୁଜନ ହଉଛି ଜାଣିବାକୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା ଅଛି, କିମ୍ବା ଯୋଉଠି
Yes, sir,
ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟିଂ
for that.
ଜାଣିବାକୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା ଅଛି, ଏ ତିନିଟା କେସରେ you may go for some of the reference books which are given in your study material at the end. ତାର end କୁ ଦିଆ ହେଇଛି study material କୋଉ କୋଉ ବହି ଫଲୋ କରିବ, କୋଉ କୋଉ ପେପର କିଛି ଦିଆଯାଇଛି ଫଲୋ କରିବ. ଇଭେନ ତା ଭିତରେ ବି ଯଦି ତମେ ବେଶୀ difficulty ହବ, then also you may ask us to know from us some of the books for some of the specific chapters. Sir, ଏଇ ପଢିବା chapter ଟା ମୁଁ ଆ ଛଡା କୋଉ ବହିରେ ଅଧିକା ଭଲ ପାଇବି. So we may suggest you appropriately which book you should read at that stage. But again the question remains, what is your access to the books? ତମ ପାଇଁ book access କଣ ଅଛି? Except the ଜ୍ଞାନ କୋର୍ସ ଛାଡ଼ିଦେଲେ ଆଉ କିଛି ଅଛି କି? ତମ ପାଖରେ ଲାଇବ୍ରେରୀ ଅଛି, ଅନଲାଇନ ଲାଇବ୍ରେରୀ access ଅଛି ତମର? Ignore. Do you have any access to the library?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, Nandini and Adjasa Sahu has raised their hands. Anything to ask?
Sir, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Sir, caste process ଟା ଟିକେ discuss କରିଥାନ୍ତେ.
ହଁ, caste process ଟା କରିବା. ତମର ଯୋଉ unit wise ମୁଁ କରିବି ବୁଝ ତିନିଟା କ୍ଲାସରେ, coming ତିନିଟା କ୍ଲାସରେ
Yes,
I will
sir.
go into details. Caste ତମର ଯଦି ଟିକେ difficult ଅଛି, caste ଟା ଟିକେ difficult ହବ, ତେଣୁ ତାକୁ ମୁଁ ବୁଝେଇବି. I will do that.
Yes, sir.
ଏବେ ଆଉ
Thank you,
ଆରମ୍ଭ
sir.
କରିବାରେ ସେଥିରେ, କାରଣ ମୁଁ ତ unit wise discussion କରିବି. I will cover up all the things in 3 classes. ତିନିଟା କ୍ଲାସରେ ତା ଭିତରେ ଯୋଉଟା ତମକୁ ଯେତିକି ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ଲାଗୁଛି ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ ପଚାରିଲି. ତମେ ଯେମିତି କହିଲ କାଷ୍ଟ କି କଣ ଯଦି ପଚାରିବ କହିଲେ କଣ ମୁଁ ଜାଣିବି ଯେ ଏଇ ଜାଗା ତମର areas of difficulty ଅଛି where you need little bit of clarity in these sessions.
Yes,
Because
sir.
these are all counseling classes. Actually, like a class true sense रे नुह कहीं ना एंटायर कोर्स चार्टा क्लास सारीवाटा is not possible. तेणु एटा गोटे counseling class बोली से माने कहउचंती, and these classes are meant for clarifying your doubts. तेणु तमे भी से अनुसार टिके प्रिपेयर हेले, you will get the best benefit of the things available to you. तेणु ठीक अछि, हमर जतले आसीबो से यूनिट रे I will take care of that caste land form. Okay. Adhyasa was asking something. Okay. Then Nandini.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Myself
evening.
Nandini Pradhan.
Okay.
Actually ମୁଁ ପଚାରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଥିଲି ଏଇ ଯୋଉ MGG-2 ଟା ସେଟା କେତେ ମାର୍କ୍ସ ର ଆସିବ ସାର୍ ଏକ୍ସାମ ରେ, ମାନେ 100 ମାର୍କ୍ସ ନା 80 ମାର୍କ୍ସ?
100 marks. No,
100
80
ମାର୍କ୍ସ।
marks. 100 marks ଆସିବ।
ଏଟାରେ କଣ 20 ମାର୍କ ଭାଇବା ଅଛି କି ସାର୍?
ନାଇଁ 20 marks ତମର internal ଥିବ। internal ନାହିଁ କି?
ହଁ।
ନାଇଁ ତମ ଏକ୍ସାମିନେସନ ମୁଁ ଦେଖିନି, ତମର ଗାଇଡଲାଇନ ଦେଖିନି ମୁଁ ତ ତମ ସିଷ୍ଟମ।
Internal ନାହିଁ sir, ଆମର assignment ଅଛି, assignment ସମୟ sir.
ହଁ ତେବେ assignment ଥିବ 20 marks। ମୁଁ ତମ ଗାଇଡଲାଇନ କୁ ଆସିନି, next class I will be making myself thorough. And for the first time I am coming to your IGNOU online system. ଆଗରୁ ସେ କରୁନଥିଲି। ଏଇଟା ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଟାଇମ ଆସିଛି, ତେଣୁ ତମେ ଯେତିକି ପାଠ ପଢିବାର ଅଛି ମୁଁ ବି ସେତିକି ପାଠ ପଢିବାର ଅଛି ଆ ଭିତରେ, ଜାଣିବା ପାଇଁ ବୋଲି ସିଷ୍ଟମ କଣ ତା ଭିତରେ କେମିତି କଣ ହଉଛି ଆଉ ସେଇ ହିସାବରେ
Slow process
ସାର୍
ଆଉ
ଯଦି
geometric mapping ରେ ବି ଟିକେ discussion
ହଁ କଣ କୁହ।
ସେ ଯୋଉ crash ସହିତ slow process ଆଉ geomorphic mapping ସେଥିରେ ବି
ଜିଓମର୍ଫିକ ମ୍ୟାପିଂ ଆଉ
slow processes.
ସ୍ଲୋ ପ୍ରୋସେସେସ୍।
Yes
ହଁ
sir.
ସେ ଯାକ ବି ଆସିବ। Those are also some of the important topics ଅଛି ତାର ୟୁନିଟ ଭିତରେ ତ ଆସିବ। I will handle that, କାରଣ ସେଟା ଆସିବ weathering, erosion ଆଉ slope development। ଏଇ ତିନିଟା ଯାକ ଜିନିଷ ଗୋଟେ ରିଲେଟେଡ ହେଇକି ଗୋଟେ ୟୁନିଟ ରେ ଆସିବ in one unit। weathering କଣ, erosion କଣ ଆଉ ତାପରେ
ସାର୍ ପଚାରୁଥିଲି ଯଦି ସେ ୱେଦରିଂ ମାନେ ଯୋଉ ଟପିକ ଗୁଡାକ ଆସିବ, ଯଦି 10 ମାର୍କ୍ସ ର ଆସିବ ସେଗୁଡାକରେ ଡାଏଗ୍ରାମ ମଷ୍ଟ ମାନେ କମ୍ପଲସରି ଥିବ କି ଦେବାର?
ତମର ଖାଲି ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫିର ଯେକୌଣସି କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଆସିଲେ ସର୍ଟ ହଉ କିମ୍ବା ଲଙ୍ଗ ହଉ, diagrammatic explanation is must and diagram with proper labeling is also must.
ହଁ
ଯେମିତି
ମୁଁ ସେଇଟା ହିଁ ପଚାରୁଥିଲି। ଆଉ 5 ମାର୍କ୍ସ ର 5 ମାର୍କ୍ସ ର କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ ବି ଥିବ କି ସାର୍?
ଆସିବନି ବୋଧେ।
ଖାଲି 10 ମାର୍କ୍ସ ର ଥିବ ନା?
ଦେଖିବା ମୁଁ ତମକୁ ସେଇ ଜାଗା ପାଇଁ ଏକ୍ସାମିନେସନ ମୁଁ ପରେ
Question
କହିବି।
pattern ଟା ଯେହେତୁ geography ନୂଆ ଆସିଛି, ଆମକୁ sir question pattern ଟିକେ ଜଣା ନାହିଁ।
ଆମକୁ
ହଁ
ବି ଜଣା
ସାର୍
ନାହିଁ,
ମୁଁ ସେଇଟା
ଆମକୁ ବି
ମୁଁ
ଜଣା
ବି
ନାହିଁ।
ପଚାରୁଥିଲି। ସେ ଯଦି
ଆମେ
କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ ମାନେ ଟିକେ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ଗୁଡାକ ଟିକେ କହିଦେଲେ ସେଗୁଡାକୁ ଆମେ ଡାଏଗ୍ରାମ ବେସିସ ରେ ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସ ବି କରିଥିଲେ ଭଲ ଥାନ୍ତା।
ନାଇଁ ଡାଇଗ୍ରାମ ସବୁ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ରେ ସର୍ଟ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ହଉ କି ଲଙ୍ଗ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ହଉ, ତମର 5 ମାର୍କିଆ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ପଡିବନି, ଆପଣ 10 ମାର୍କିଆ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ପଡିବ, 20 ମାର୍କିଆ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍। ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ଦିଟା ଯାକ ଟାଇପର କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ରେ ତମକୁ ଡାଇଗ୍ରାମ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ। ତେଣୁ ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫିର ଯେକୌଣସି ଜିନିଷ ତମେ ପ୍ରିପେୟାର କରୁଛ ଯେ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଆନ୍ସର, ୟୁ ନିଡ୍ ଟୁ ହ୍ୟାଭ୍ ଡାଇଗ୍ରାମ୍ସ ପ୍ରପରଲି ଲେବଲ୍ଡ। ଡାଇଗ୍ରାମ ଯଦି ନ କରୁଛ ତାହେଲେ ତମର କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଯଦି 20 ମାର୍କ ଅଛି ତା ଭିତରୁ 4-5 ମାର୍କ ତମର ସେଇଠି ଗଲା। ସେ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ର ଭାଲୁଏସନ 15 ମାର୍କ ର ହବ। ତେଣୁ ଡୋଣ୍ଟ ଟ୍ରାଏ ଟୁ ମିସ୍ ଦି ଡାଇଗ୍ରାମ୍ସ and don't try to miss the labeling of the diagrams also. ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ଦିଟା ଜିନିଷକୁ ମନରେ ଧ୍ୟାନ ଦବ ଯେ ଆମକୁ ଡାଇଗ୍ରାମ ସହିତ ଆନ୍ସର ଲେଖିବାକୁ ପଡିବ। ଓକେ।
ସାର୍ ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିକାଲ ବିଷୟରେ କିଛି କହିବେ?
ଆଉ କିଏ ନନ୍ଦିନୀ ପଚାରୁଛ?
ନା
କିଏ
ସାର୍ ମୁଁ
ପଚାରୁଛ?
ସ୍ମିତା।
ହଁ ସ୍ମିତାଞ୍ଜଳି। ତମ ବ୍ୟାକଗ୍ରାଉଣ୍ଡ କଣ? What is your background? ଟିକେ introduction କଲେ।
ସାଇନ୍ସ
ସାଇନ୍ସ।
କେମିଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ଅନର୍ସ ଥିଲା ମୋର। ଆଜ୍ଞା।
କୋଉଠୁ ପାସ୍ କରିଛ?
ଜିଏମ୍ କଲେଜ।
ଜିଏମ୍ କଲେଜରୁ। ଆଚ୍ଛା। ହଁ କଣ ପଚାରୁଥିଲ?
ସାର୍ ମୁଁ କହିଲି ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିକାଲ ବିଷୟରେ କିଛି ଆଇଡିଆ ଦେବେ, କଣ କେମିତି ହବ?
ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିକାଲ ଯାକ ତମକୁ ଗୋଟେ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟରକୁ ସେମାନେ ଡାକିବେ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର, ଯୋଉଠି ସେମାନେ ଆଇଡେଣ୍ଟିଫାଇ କରିବେ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର, ସେ ଜାଗାକୁ ତମକୁ ଡାକିବେ। କୋଉଠି ସେ ମାନେ ଆଇଡେଣ୍ଟିଫାଇ କରିବେ ସେଟା ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସୁଦ୍ଧା ମଧ୍ୟ ଡିସାଇଡ୍ ହେଇନି ତାଙ୍କର। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ପୁରୀ ଗୋଟେ ସେଣ୍ଟର ଅଛି, ଗୋଟେ ସେଣ୍ଟର ଅଛି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଆଉ କେତେ ଗୋଟେ ସେଣ୍ଟର ବି ହେଇପାରେ। ତେଣୁ ଆମେ ଜାଣିଛେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ, ତେଣୁ ତାଙ୍କର ଏଇ କୋର୍ସ ତ ନୂଆ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଲା ନା, ତେଣୁ ସେମାନେ ବି ନୂଆ ଖୋଜିବେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସେଣ୍ଟର କୋଉଠି କୋଉଠି କରିବେ। ତେଣୁ ସେଣ୍ଟର କରିବା ପାଇଁ ହେଲେ କଣ ହୁଏ ନା, ସେମାନେ ଯୋଉମାନେ କରିବେ ସେମାନେ ରାଜି ହେବା ଦରକାର, ସେମାନେ ପ୍ରପୋଜାଲ ଦେବା ଦରକାର, ଏସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ଅଛି, ତାଙ୍କର ଫର୍ମାଲିଟିସ୍ ଅଛି। ତେଣୁ ସେଇ ଜିନିଷ ଯାକ ତମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ତାଙ୍କର ଅଫିସିଆଲ ମାନେ ତମ ସହିତ ଡିସ୍କସନ କରିବେ, ଦେ ୱିଲ୍ ବି ଗିଭିଂ ଟାଇମ୍ ଫର ଡିସ୍କସନ। ଆମେ ଯଦି କ୍ଲାସ କରୁଛେ କାଉନସିଲିଂ, ତାଙ୍କର ବି ସେମିତି କିଛିଟା କ୍ଲାସ ହବ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଅଫିସିଆଲ ମାନଙ୍କର, ତାଙ୍କ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲର ତାଙ୍କର ଅନ୍ୟ ଯୋଉ ଆଡମିନିଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଟିଭ ଲୋକମାନେ ଥିବେ ସେମାନେ ବି ଆସିବେ, ଦେ ୱିଲ୍ ବି ଇନ୍ ଟଚ୍ ୱିଥ୍ ୟୁ। ତେଣୁ ସେଇ ସମୟରେ ତମେ ସେଇ ଜିନିଷ ଯାକ ଡିସ୍କସନ କରିବ ତାଙ୍କ ସହିତ। ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଜାଣିବୁ ଯାହା କହିଦେବୁ, ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସୁଦ୍ଧା ଜାଣିନୁ କାହିଁକି ହେଇନି କିଛି ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ। ଗୋଟିଏ ଖାଲି ସେଣ୍ଟର ଆଗରୁ ଥିଲା, ସେଟା ଆଗରୁ ଥିଲା, ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏସନ ପାଇଁ ବି ଥିଲା, ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ତମ ପୋଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏସନ ଆଡ୍ ହେଇଛି, ସେ ସେଣ୍ଟରଟା ଖାଲି ଅଛି। କିନ୍ତୁ ଆଉ ସେଣ୍ଟର ଆ ଭିତରେ ସେମାନେ କରିପାରନ୍ତି, ହେଇପାରେ, କାରଣ ବହୁତ ପିଲା ଯଦି ହେବେ କି କୋଉ ସେଣ୍ଟରରେ ରହିବେ, ସେ ଅନୁସାରେ ଯଦି ସେଣ୍ଟର ଡିଷ୍ଟ୍ରିବ୍ୟୁସନ ହବ ଭଲ ହବ, କିନ୍ତୁ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଡିପେଣ୍ଡ କରୁଛି ତାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ଆଉ। ତାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ତାପରେ କଲେଜ ପୁଣି ଅପ୍ଟ କରିବା ଦରକାର ଯୋଉଠି ହବ। So they have to also agree to share their resources, resource share କରିବା ପାଇଁ agree ହେବା ଦରକାର, ତାଙ୍କର ସ୍ପେସ୍ ଦେବେ, ତାଙ୍କର ଟାଇମ୍ ଦେବେ, ତାଙ୍କର ଲାବୋରେଟୋରୀ ଦେବେ, ଏସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ହବ। ତାଙ୍କର ପୁଣି ପର୍ସନାଲ ଦେବେ, କାରଣ ସେମାନଙ୍କ ଲାବୋରେଟୋରୀ ସେମାନେ ନ ପଢିଲେ ଆଉ କିଏ ପଢିବ ତାଙ୍କୁ। ତେଣୁ ଏସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ଅଛି, ତେଣୁ ଗୋଟେ ତାଙ୍କର ଅଫିସିଆଲ ପ୍ରୋସେସ ଅଛି, ତା ଭିତରେ ସେମାନେ ସେ ଜିନିଷ ସେଟଲ୍ କରିବେ। ଓକେ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
ନନ୍ଦିନୀ, ତମ ବ୍ୟାକଗ୍ରାଉଣ୍ଡ କଣ?
Yes, sir.
ହଁ, ତମର ବ୍ୟାକଗ୍ରାଉଣ୍ଡ କୁହ, ତମର ଇଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଡକ୍ସନ ଟିକେ ଦିଅ।
ସାର୍ ମୋର ଅନର୍ସ ଥିଲା ସାର୍ ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫିରେ।
କୋଉଠି?
ମୁଁ ୱେଷ୍ଟ ବେଙ୍ଗଲରେ।
ୱେଷ୍ଟ ବେଙ୍ଗଲ କୋଉ କଲେଜ କୁହ?
ସେ ବିଧାନ ଚନ୍ଦ୍ର କଲେଜ ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫି ଅନର୍ସ ଥିଲି। ସେଇଟା ବି ମାନେ 8 year ବ୍ୟାକ୍ ଥିଲି ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି। ମାନେ ସରକମଷ୍ଟାନ୍ସେସ୍ ନଥିଲା ତ ମୁଁ MA ଟା କରିନଥିଲି। ରିସେଣ୍ଟଲି ମତେ ଅପରଚୁନିଟି ମିଳିଲା ତ ମୁଁ MA ରେ ପୁଣି ଜଏନ୍ କରିଲି।
ଆଚ୍ଛା, ଏଇ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର ସେଣ୍ଟର କାହିଁକି ନେଲ? କାଲକାଟାରେ ତମର ରହୁଛ ନା ଏଠି
ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ମ୍ୟାରେଜ ହେଇଥିଲା ତ ସେଥିପାଇଁ।
ଏଇଠି ରହୁଛ ଏବେ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ?
ହଁ, ଓଡିଶାରେ ରହୁଛି ସାର୍।
କୋଉଠି ଲୋକେସନ?
ସାର୍ ଓଡିଶାରେ ଗଜପତି ଡିଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ଟରେ ରହୁଛି ସାର୍।
ଗଜପତି?
ହଁ, ଗଜପତି।
Okay, Adjasa, your introduction.
ସାର୍ ମୋର ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫି ଅନର୍ସ ଥିଲା FM ଅଟୋନମସ୍ କଲେଜ ବାଲେଶ୍ୱର।
Okay.
ସାର୍ ତାପରେ ମୁଁ PG ଆଡମିସନ ବି ହେଇଥିଲି ଉତ୍କଳ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟିରେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଜବ୍ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଜଏନ୍ କଲି ସେଟା ରେଗୁଲାର କୋର୍ସ ଆଉ ତ ଭ୍ୟାଲିଡ ହବନି, ସେଇ ପାଇଁ ଛାଡିବା ପାଇଁ ପଡିଲା।
ରେଗୁଲାର କୋର୍ସ ମାନେ?
ସାର୍ ମାନେ ଦୁଇଟା ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଜିନିଷ କିଛି ଏକା ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ କରିହବନି ନା, ତ ମୁଁ ଯେହେତୁ ମାନେ ଷ୍ଟେଟ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଅଣ୍ଡରରେ ଟିଚରସିପ ପାଇଗଲି, ସେଇଟା ଜଏନ୍ କଲି ଜବ୍, ସେଇ ପାଇଁ PG କୋର୍ସ ଯେହେତୁ।
ଟିଚର ଅଛ ଏବେ?
ଇଏ ସାର୍।
କୋଉଠି?
ସାର୍ ବେତନଟି ବ୍ଲକ ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ ଡିଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ଟରେ।
ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ ଡିଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ଟ ବେତନଟି। ଆଚ୍ଛା, very good.
ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ଉତ୍କଳରେ।
ଭଲ କରିଛ, ଠିକ କରିଛ, you have done the right thing.
Yes.
Okay. Pragya, are you available? Can you introduce yourself? Pragya, could you hear me? Acha, Pragya is not there probably. Smitanjali?
ଆପଣ ଉତ୍କଳ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟିରେ ଥିଲେ? ଏବେ ତ ମାନେ ମୁଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆଡମିସନ ହେଇଥିଲି ସେତେବେଳେ ତ କ୍ଲାସ ନଥିଲା ବୋଧେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର?
ମୁଁ ରିଟାୟାର୍ଡ କଲିଣି 2015 ରୁ। I have retired from Utkal University in 2015. So ତାପରେ I am in research positions, as emeritus professor, ତାପରେ senior research fellow, এই ସବୁ position ରେ ଥିଲି। ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି ମୁଁ ମତେ କ୍ଲାସ ନେବାକୁ ପଡୁନଥିଲା, ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ଆକ୍ଟିଭିଟି କରିବାକୁ ପଡୁଥିଲା। So I was, these are the research hours after retirement. Okay. Rajalakshmi, are you available? ପିଲାମାନେ କ'ଣ ବନ୍ଦ ବାନ୍ଦ କରିଦେଇକି ପଳେଇଛନ୍ତି ଖାଲି ନା କ'ଣ ଅନ୍ କରିଦେଇକି? ସ୍ମିତାଞ୍ଜଳି, are you available?
Yes, sir.
ସେ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ହଉଛି ଯେ ମାନେ ବହୁତ ଜଣ ଟିଚର୍ସ ବି ଅଛନ୍ତି ଏଇ କୋର୍ସ ରେ, ତ ସେଟା ଟାଇମ ଚେଞ୍ଜ କରିବା କଥା ବି ସେମାନେ ୟା ପୂର୍ବ କ୍ଲାସ ରେ କହିଥିଲେ, ଯେହେତୁ ମାନେ 4ଟାରୁ 6ଟା ଟିକେ ଯୋଉମାନେ ଜବ୍ ହୋଲ୍ଡର ସେମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ଟିକେ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ହେଇଯାଉଛି କ୍ଲାସ କରିବା। ସେଇ ପାଇଁ କିଛି ଜଣ
ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟ କଥା ଆଶା କର।
ସେଇଟା ପୂର୍ବରୁ କହିଥିଲେ, ସେ ମ୍ୟାମ କହିଥିଲେ ଯେ ଏଇଟା କୌଣସି ଚେଞ୍ଜ କରିପାରିବେନି ଯେହେତୁ ଇଗ୍ନୋ ଅଥରିଟିଙ୍କ ହାତରେ ଏଇଟା ଅଛି।
ହଁ, ସେ ଇଗ୍ନୋ ବାଲାଙ୍କୁ କ୍ଲାସ ବାଲାଙ୍କୁ କହିଲେ, କ୍ଲାସ ଟିଚରଙ୍କୁ କହିଲେ କିଛି ଲାଭ ହବନି। Class teachers have least connection with the office to take decisions. So ସେ ଇଗ୍ନୋର ଅଫିସର ଯୋଉ ଫୋନ ନମ୍ବର ଯାହା ତମର କଣ୍ଟାକ୍ଟ ନମ୍ବର ଥିବ ଆଡମିସନ ପ୍ରୋସେସରେ ସେଠି କହିବ। ଓକେ, ରାଜଲକ୍ଷ୍ମୀ କୁହ।
सर नमस्कार सर सर मु
ହୁଁ
बीटेक बैकग्राउंड सर
ବିଟେକ୍
आज्ञा सर
फ्रॉम ବିଟେକ୍ ଇନ୍ ସବଜେକ୍ଟ
इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग
ଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକାଲ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ। କୋଉଠି ପାସ୍ କରିଛ?
आईजीआईटी सर सर
IGT ସାରଙ୍ଗ। ତାପରେ ତମକୁ କ'ଣ ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫି ପଢିବାକୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା ହେଲା କାହିଁକି? Why you
सर
become interested?
सर मु एबे जॉब भी करछि तापरे ज्योग्राफी मते टिके जाने इच्छा थला एतपे जेहेतु इग्नोर कोर्स आसला एतपे जॉइन करछि।
କୋଉଠି ଜବ୍ କରୁଛ? କ'ଣ କରୁଛ ଜବ୍?
सर सेक्रेटेरिएट रे जॉब करछि।
ସେକ୍ରେଟାରିଏଟରେ ଅଛ?
आज्ञा सर
ଆଚ୍ଛା, କୋଉ ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ?
सर फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट
ଏସୋ?
आज्ञा सर
ତାମାନେ ତମେ ବୋଧେ କମ୍ପିଟେଟିଭ ପଢୁଛ ବୋଧେ, ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫି ବୋଧେ ରଖିଛ, ଭଲ କରିଛ। ଇଟ୍ସ ଗୁଡ୍।
कॉम्पिटिटिव भाबिनी सर भाबुतली कि ज्योग्राफी लाइन रे इच्छा आगु करि हबो।
ସେଇଆ ତ କରିବ, ଆଉ କ'ଣ କରିବ, ସେଇଟା ହିଁ ବେଷ୍ଟ ଜିନିଷ।
आज्ञा माने सिविल सर्विस पे इच्छा नहीं यदि पर्टिकुलर ज्योग्राफी लाइन में किछि करियो देन बेटर होता उपाय।
ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫି ଲାଇନ କରିବ ମାନେ then ତମକୁ କ୍ୟାରିୟର ଚେଞ୍ଜ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ।
आज्ञा आज्ञा सर
କରିହବ। ଗୋଟେ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟ ତମେ ଯଦି ଟିକେ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମିଂ ଶିଖିବ, ଜିଆଇଏସ୍ ରିମୋଟ ସେନ୍ସିଂ ରେ ଆଉ ଜିପିଏସ୍ ବହୁତ ଜିନିଷ କରିପାରିବ।
आज्ञा आज्ञा सर
provided you have to learn programming, ଟିକେ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମିଂ ଯଦି ଶିଖିବ ତାହେଲେ ହେଇପାରିବ। You can change your career to a software.
आज्ञा
Geography
सर
software.
आज्ञा सर
Okay, Pitanjali.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍। ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ବିଏସସି କେମିଷ୍ଟ୍ରିରେ କରିଛି ଜିଏମ୍ କଲେଜ ରୁ ସମ୍ବଲପୁରରୁ। ମୁଁ ଏବେ ଟିଚର ଅଛି। ମୋର ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫିଟା ଲାଇକିଂ ସବଜେକ୍ଟ ଥିଲା ସ୍କୁଲ ବେଳରୁ, ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଏବେ ଯୋଉ ଗୋଟେ ଅପରଚ୍ୟୁନିଟି ମିଳିଲା ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫିରେ ଏମଏସସି କରୁଛି।
କୋଉଠି ଟିଚର ଅଛ?
ଯାଜପୁରରେ ଅଛି ସାର୍।
ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ସ୍କୁଲରେ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍। ତାପରେ ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ସିଭିଲ ସର୍ଭିସ ଏକ୍ଜାମ ଦଉଛି, ତାର ମୋର ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫି ଅଛି ମୋର ଅପସନାଲ ସବଜେକ୍ଟ, ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଏଇଟା ନେଇଛି ଆଉ।
ଠିକ ଅଛି, ଭଲ ହେଲ୍ପଫୁଲ ହବ, କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ। ଭେରି ଗୁଡ୍। ଶୁଭଶ୍ରୀ,
ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ପଚାର
କୁହ କ'ଣ କହିବାକୁ?
ସାର୍ ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ପଚାରୁଥିଲି ରେଫରେନ୍ସ ବୁକ୍ ଏକ୍ସଟ୍ରା କ'ଣ ଫଲୋ କରିପାରିବୁ ଆମେ ଜିଓମର୍ଫୋଲଜି ପାଇଁ?
ମୁଁ ସେଇ କଥା ତ ଭାବିଲିନି, ମୁଁ ତମ ନର୍ମାଲ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟ ଭାବିକି ତମକୁ ଆନ୍ସର ଦେଇଦେଲି। ରେଫରେନ୍ସ ବୁକ୍ କୋଉ ସବଜେକ୍ଟରେ ତମ ଦରକାର? ଆଉ ତମର ଏକ୍ସେସ
ଜିଓମର୍ଫ
ଅଛି କି ପଢିବା ପାଇଁ? ଏକ୍ସେସ ଅଛି କି ପଢିବା ପାଇଁ? ମୁଁ ରେଫରେନ୍ସ କହିଲେ ତମେ କୋଉଠୁ ପଢିବ? ତମେ ତ
ଥିଓରି ଉପରେ, ଯୋଉ ପ୍ଲେଟ୍ ଟେକ୍ଟୋନିକ୍ ଥିଓରି, ପ୍ଲେଟ୍ ଟେକ୍ଟୋନିକ୍ ସେଇ ସବୁ ଥିଓରି ଉପରେ ପଢିବା ପାଇଁ।
ବହି ଅଛି, ଭଲ ଭଲ ବହି ଅଛି। ମର୍ଗାନ ଆଉ ୱିଲସନ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ମର୍ଗାନ, ତାଙ୍କ ବହି ବି ଅଛି, ଯୋଉଟା କି ମାନେ ପାଇବ କୋଉଠୁ ସେ ବହି? ନହେଲେ ପାଇବନି। ମୁଁ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ପଚାରିଲି ତମ ଇ ଲାଇବ୍ରେରୀ ଏକ୍ସେସ ଅଛି କି ପଚାରିବ, ତମ ଇଗ୍ନୋ ବାଲାଙ୍କୁ ପଚାରିବ। ଟାଇମ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଏଗେନ୍। ଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚରାଲ ଜିଓଲୋଜି ବୋଲି ଗୋଟେ ବହି ଅଛି, ଫିଜିକାଲ ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫି ଗୋଟେ ବହି ଅଛି, ଯୋଉଟା କି ଷ୍ଟେଲର ଆଣ୍ଡ ଷ୍ଟେଲର, ସେଥିରେ ବି ଭଲ ଦେଇଛି ଟେକ୍ଟୋନିକ୍ସ ଥିଓରି ଆଣ୍ଡ ଅଦର ଥିଓରିଜ୍।
Yes sir।
ତେଣୁ ତାକୁ ଦେଖିବା ଦରକାର। ମିଳିବ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଏକ୍ସେସ୍ ଟୁ ଇ ଲାଇବ୍ରେରୀ ହେବା ଦରକାର। ମୁଁ ବୁଝି ଦେଇଥିବି ଯାକ, ଏଇ ଜିନିଷ ଯାକ ପରେ ବୁଝିଦେବି।
ହଁ ସାର୍, ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ଟେଲିଗ୍ରାମ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଛି ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି ଆଭେଲେବଲ ହେଇପାରିବ ଏଇ ବୁକ୍ ଗୁଡାକ।
ହଁ, ତାହେଲେ ଠିକ ଅଛି, ଦେଖିବ। ତାହେଲେ କହିଦେବ ତମକୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଟାଇମ୍ ଆସୁଛି, ବୁଝିଦେବ, କହିବ ଭଲ ଭଲ। ଓକେ, ଶୁଭଶ୍ରୀ।
ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ।
गुड इवनिंग सर।
yes, evening, good evening.
सर मोर ग्रेजुएशन फिजिक्स रे एसएस कॉलेज रो पास आउट।
Okay.
22 2022 ତାପରେ ମୁଁ ପ୍ରିପେୟାରିଂ କଲି ସିଭିଲ ସର୍ଭିସ ପାଇଁ ଆଉ ସେଥିରେ ଅପସନାଲ ରଖିଛି ଜୋଗ୍ରାଫି।
Okay.
ସରି ସେଥିଲାଗି ଅପସନାଲ ଯେହେତୁ ଜୋଗ୍ରାଫି ଅଛି ସେ ମୁଁ MSc କଲି ଏଥିରେ ଜୋଗ୍ରାଫି।
ଠିକ ଅଛି। ତମର ତ ପିଜି ଥିଲା ପୁରୀରେ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
ପୁରୀରେ ତ ପିଜି ଅଛି?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍। ଏଥିରେ ମତେ ସେଲ୍ଫ ଷ୍ଟଡି ବି କରିବାର ଅଛି ଆଉ
ଅନଲାଇନ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ସୁବିଧା ନାଇଁ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
Okay. Okay, Pragya, are you available? Pragya बोलते नहीं ना कौन?
Good
अच्छा,
evening, sir.
Pragya, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Sir, I am Nath Pragya. I have done my BA B.Ed from SCS College and as honors, geography as honors, and this 2022 batch. And then I am a teacher in DAV. I am working as a TGT geography in DAV. So
DAV
along
Puri?
with the
DAV Puri?
Bhadrak, DAV Bhadrak.
Okay.
And along with that, I am now pursuing the post graduation.
Okay, very good. Acha, Nandini Pradhan, Adasa is raising hands. Anything more to ask?
No, sir.
One more have raised hands. Who is the name is not there? Okay, ଆଜି ତାହେଲେ ଏତିକି ରଖିବା. We will keep it here. And
Okay, sir.
let's get prepared for the next class. That is on 22.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We'll see to meet to your exact interest, whatever is there. We'll see that the subject becomes convenient because normally this is a difficult subject for the students of humanities to some extent. Science, it is okay. Science and engineering, it will be okay, but for humanities students, it will be little difficult. But we will try to see to that. Important ଯଦି ବହି କିଛି reference ମାନେ additional books which I will tell you in the coming class. I will accordingly exactly to your needs I will cater. And if necessary also if you tell specific topics we may go for PowerPoint presentations also. Quick PowerPoint presentation କରିପାରିବା. Okay, Madhusmita, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Sir, good evening. I'm Madhushmita Divedi from Angul. I am a teacher in Rotary Public School, TGT Geography.
Kothi, where it is?
Rotary Public School, Angul.
Where is the place where we are working? Voice clear होनी कटी जाउची ଆଉ ଥରେ
Angul.
Angul, okay. Okay, very good. So it will be useful for all of you. It looks like that.
Yes, sir.
Jaya Devi. Jaya Devi.
ସାର୍ ନମସ୍କାର ସାର୍।
Namaste.
ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ପୁରୀ SCS ଅଟୋନମସ୍ କଲେଜରେ ସାର୍ ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏସନ୍ ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫି ଅନର୍ସ ଆଉ ମୁଁ ଉତ୍କଳ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟିରେ ସାର୍ କ୍ଲାସ୍ କରୁଥିଲି। ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟ ସାର୍, ମୋର ସୌଭାଗ୍ୟ ଆପଣଙ୍କର କ୍ଲାସ୍ ମୁଁ କରିଥିଲି। ଅଳ୍ପ ଦିନ କରିଛି, ତାପରେ ଟିଚରସିପ୍ ହେଲା ପରେ ମୁଁ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଦେଲି ଆଉ କ୍ଲାସ୍। ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
କୋଉ ଇୟରରେ? କୋଉ ଇୟରରେ?
ସାର୍ 2012ରେ ସାର୍। ସାର୍ 2012 ମସିହାରେ।
ତାହେଲେ ତ କ୍ଲାସ୍ କରିଥିବ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍, ଆପଣଙ୍କ କ୍ଲାସ୍ କରିଛି ଆଉ ଅଳ୍ପ ଦିନ ତ କରିଥିଲି ପଳେଇ ଆସିଲି।
କ୍ଲାସ୍ କରିଥିବ ବୋଧେ ମତେ ଲାଗୁଛି।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍, ମୁଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦେଖିଲି ସାର୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ନା, ମୁଁ ସେତେବେଳେ ବହୁତ ଖୁସି ହେଇଥିଲି ଯେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଆଉ ଥରେ କରିବାର ସୁଯୋଗ ମିଳିଗଲା ବୋଲି।
ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ତ ପଢେଇଥିବି ନା ପ୍ରଥମ କ୍ଲାସରେ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
Okay.
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
Okay, very good. Happy to see all of you. Looks like the group is very congenial and very active group and looks dynamic also. I think we can do better and improve upon our situations. Okay, we stop it here. We meet in the next class. Rakiba Tale, close Gurus.
ଆଜ୍ଞା